Welcome to Screen Hollywood, the home of movie news and entertainment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
All right, team, welcome back to Screen Hollywood. I'm Adam. If you're new here, welcome to the Hollywood family. Help the channel reach more people by hitting the like, share, subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, bookmark and subscribe to our international news publication at screenhollywood.com, where we release all news and entertainment information first. Today, we're stepping into the ring for one of the biggest, most controversial fights we could imagine. So before we even start, let's do a fun little trigger warning. This topic is a minefield. We're talking about Superman, the Man of Steel. Passions are going to run high, so let me be abundantly clear. The data you're about to hear is not gospel. It's research curated and analyzed by our team based on decades of comic book lore. So if you disagree, and you probably will, that's awesome. That's why we do this. But don't just hit me with a, "That's bullshit, Adam," in the comments. State your case, back it up with facts or solid reasoning, and let's have a real debate. Okay, gloves are off. Let's get into it. Who is the most powerful superhero of all time? For generations, one name has stood as the definitive answer: Superman. But which Superman? The icon has been reimagined so many times that the name itself means different things to different fans. I would like to add, during the production of this video, I was staggered by the distinct differences in personality traits and attitudes of the variations of Superman, which include fighting styles we have seen over the years. And for those of you that are saying, Hulk is king, we hear you. But our focus today is Superman versus Sentry. If we get enough requests, we will do a Hulk video. And yes, we will definitely not be using the Mark Ruffalo Hulk, which is terrible. We will use the Ed Norton and Eric Banner Hulks, which does superior justice to the true might of the Hulk. So today we're pitting Superman against a character designed to break the very concept of a superhero. A man with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. This is more than just a fight. It's a clash of archetypes. It's the Man of Steel versus the Golden Guardian. It's Superman versus the Sentry. And we're going to break it all down version by version. And if you hang around to later in the video, we will give you a fact you may not know about Sentry's connection to the DCU. First, our challenger, the Sentry. Think of him as a god born from a broken mind. Robert Reynolds, a man with severe mental illness, drank a super serum that granted him absolute power over matter and energy. He can regenerate from a single atom, warp reality, and has strength to match the strongest beings in the universe. But here's the catastrophic catch. His power gave birth to a dark reflection, a malevolent entity of pure evil called the Void. For every good deed Sentry does, the Void commits an equal horrific act. He is his own worst enemy, a hero and a monster trapped in the same body. Keep that in mind. The Void is always waiting. Now, for the Man of Steel. To do this right, we have to look at the three dominant modern interpretations that fans champion. This is the Superman Gauntlet. We have to start with the latest adaptation of Superman, the hopeful hero, James Gunn's Superman. First up, the vision James Gunn is bringing to the screen, heavily inspired by the classic Boy Scout era. This Superman is defined by his kindness. He's younger, perhaps a bit more emotionally vulnerable, and his power is tempered by his inexperience. We've seen characters in this vein get beaten down, learning hard lessons on the job. His greatest strength isn't his power, it's his heart. He leads with empathy. The stoic powerhouse, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. Now we have Henry Cavill's Superman. This is definitely not a Boy Scout. This is a physical god trying to find his place in a world that fears him. He is stoic, confident, and demonstrates a level of brute force that is terrifying. Think of the battle with Zod, a destructive, brutal ballet of power. Snyder even teased a dark nightmare Superman, a being with dark triad Machiavellian traits, suggesting that under pressure, his morality could bend, unleashing a ruthlessness that makes him even more formidable, Homelander style. This Superman can be thuggish and aggressive and likes to slug it out, Royal Rumble style. These traits are one of the big reasons there is a huge divide in the Superman fan base. Comic book loyalists protest Superman isn't a dark triad. In fact, some extreme comic book loyalists claim Henry Cavill's Superman is a perversion, an abomination of the true soul of Superman. Next, the sophisticated legend, the one and only Christopher Reeve's Superman, the icon, the gold standard for many, Christopher Reeve. This Superman possessed all the strength, but his true power was his sophistication. He was calm, wise, and possessed a genius-level intellect. He didn't just punch his problems, he outthought them. Don't get me wrong, he knew how to brawl when he needed to, but he has one trait the other Supermans don't have: spiritual equilibrium, complete balance. And here's the wild did you know for you. Some fans argue that Christopher Reeve's Superman has already fought a version of the Sentry. Back in Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, Lex Luthor created a villain by combining Superman's genetic material with the power of the sun. The result? Nuclear Man. Think about it, a golden-clad being with long blonde hair, born from the sun, possessing all of Superman's powers but with far more aggression. And most importantly, he was mentally unstable, erratic, and dangerously unpredictable. The similarities are so striking that many believe Marvel took heavy inspiration from Nuclear Man when creating the Sentry years later. But this is where we see Reeve's brilliance. In their final battle on the moon, Superman was being overpowered. He realized he couldn't win with brute force, so what did he do? He used his brain. He noticed Nuclear Man's power was directly tied to sunlight, so he didn't punch harder. He changed the rules of the game, trapping Nuclear Man in an elevator and plunging him into the dark side of the moon, severing his connection to the sun and depowering him instantly. This wasn't a brawl, it was a checkmate. That is the essence of the sophisticated legend. 3 Supermen, 1 Sentry. How does this play out? Let's run the scenarios. Scenario 1, the rescue. An unstable Robert Reynolds is losing control, a danger to himself and everyone around him. Gunn's Superman and Reeve's Superman would handle this almost identically. They would see the terrified man, not the monster. Their immediate priority would be de-escalation. Reeve would use his wisdom to logically and calmly talk Robert down, while Gunn's version would connect on a raw, emotional level. For them, this is a rescue mission, not a fight. Verdict: they succeed in saving Robert from himself. Snyder's Superman would also prioritize saving civilians, but his approach would be more forceful. He'd likely physically restrain Sentry first, absorbing his energy blasts. While he might not lead with a conversation, he would eventually see the conflict within Robert. But the initial physical confrontation could risk making things worse, pushing Robert closer to the edge. Verdict: a riskier win with a higher chance of escalating. Scenario 2, the Royal Rumble. The talking fails. It's an all-out fight. A confident and in his right mind Golden Guardian Sentry versus the Superman. Gunn's Superman is in deep trouble here. His relative inexperience and tendency to get beaten up before rallying would be a fatal flaw against a being of Sentry's magnitude. He'd put up a heroic fight, but he'd likely be physically and psychologically overwhelmed. Verdict: he'd get a proper ass-whooping. Now this is where Snyder's Superman shines. This is the Zod fight times 1,000. A brutal, city-leveling slugfest. Cavill's Superman has the raw power and the ruthless focus to go toe-to-toe with Sentry's physical might. It would be a spectacle of pure force. However, he faces the same horrifying problem. Sentry is immortal. He can be atomized and will just reform. Cavill's brute force strategy has no answer for molecular regeneration. Verdict: an epic stalemate that Sentry ultimately wins through attrition and his wider power set. Reeve's Superman, as we've already seen with Nuclear Man, he would refuse to play Sentry's game. He would immediately recognize that a fistfight is a losing proposition. He would focus entirely on strategy, analyzing the source of Sentry's power, trying to understand the psychology of Robert Reynolds, and looking for a scientific or environmental exploit. He'd try to outthink the god. Verdict: his approach is the smartest and gives him the best chance, but Sentry's reality-bending powers are a far greater threat than Nuclear Man's, making it a monumental, perhaps impossible, intellectual challenge. Scenario 3. The Void is unleashed. This is the worst-case scenario. The fight has pushed Robert Reynolds over the edge. The Void emerges, a being of pure evil with all of Sentry's power and none of his restraint. This is not a fight, this is an extinction event. Gunn's Superman, the symbol of hope, would be the Void's primary target. The Void feeds on fear and despair. It would mentally torture him, showing him visions of a world that despises him, forcing him to watch his loved ones perish. His hope would become a weapon used against him. He would be mentally and emotionally broken before being physically erased. Snyder's Superman, even the potential Dark Superman, faces a foe beyond brutality. The Void doesn't care about a fair fight. While Superman is trying to punch it, the Void is turning the sky to acid and torturing millions psychically. Even a ruthless Superman is still playing by the laws of physics. The Void is not. It's a battle between a dark knight and a living nightmare. The nightmare wins. Reeve's Superman would be the last, best hope. He would desperately try to find a logical solution, a way to separate Sentry from the Void or help Robert regain control. But the Void is an intelligent, malevolent force of nature. It's like trying to outthink a black hole that hates you. His compassion and intellect are profound, but against a psychic, reality-warping god of evil, it is a tragic, noble, but ultimately doomed effort. So after breaking it all down, who is the ultimate victor? The devastating truth is, while Superman is the ultimate hero, Sentry is the ultimate weapon. A compassionate Superman might save Robert Reynolds' soul, but if forced into a true conflict, every version of the Man of Steel faces a power set they are fundamentally unequipped to defeat. Brute force is met with immortality, intellect is met with reality warping, and hope is met with the Void. The winner is determined not by who is stronger, but by which man shows up. The hero, the god, or the monster. And in 2 out of 3 of those contests, Superman faces a power that is, quite simply, absolute. But, despite this, I have this feeling, somehow, someway, Christopher Reeve's Superman would find a way. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think we are on the money, or are we way off? Tell us, and explain why. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Screen Hollywood for all of the latest deep dives with everything cinema. See you in the next one.